this is my electronics gear that I use for camping trips. Sometimes people ask me, with all the cameras you use, and I currently use 4, so I use 4 GoPros, 2 Hero 9s and 2 Hero 8s. How do you keep those batteries charged? How do you keep going? How do you have enough memory cards? How do you keep recording for such a long period of time? Because even though I might come back with a trip with a 28-minute video, I might record 30 or more hours of video between all the different cameras.
It's noble endeavors coming to you. Get ready for some escapades and adventures too. Enjoy the journey and the fun we're bringing to you.
So this is my gear, and I don't take all of it on any one trip, but I do have different strategies that I use when I'm going camping in the backcountry, depending on the length of time I'm going and depending on how much flexibility I want as I'm out there. Also, it depends a lot on weather conditions too, or projected weather conditions. So one of the things I could do, you can see here my battery packs. The ones on the left are for the GoPro Hero 9, right there. And this is a bunch I have for the GoPro Hero 8s. I think I've got about 20 packs for the Hero 8, and I think I've got 10 for the Hero 9. Some trips I might just pack up the batteries and go. I usually use about 2 battery packs per camera per day. So for the Hero 9s, I can go about 2.5 days before I run out of battery power, probably. And for the Hero 8s, I can go a little bit longer. I can just generally go about 4 days. Now, once I'm out there though, maybe I want the ability to recharge, because I could either pack more batteries, which becomes dead weight once I've used them up with no way to recharge them, or I start looking into actual solar panels. And you can see here with these solar panels that I'm displaying in front, I've got 3 different options available to me. Okay, so the first one, this one's actually a combo option. The orange pack here is a 1.5 watt, I believe it's 1.5 watt for the actual, just the unit by itself. And then if I actually separate it from the leather package that's connected to it, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second, then I believe that gives me a total of about 7.5 watts. But anyway, if you look on the back here, there's a little strip that's on with a magnet. You just take it off, you get this thing, there's some metal points there, and you'll see there's a little stick on the ground that usually fills that in. But when you want to put it back together, you just take this, turn it upside down, and just snaps into place nice and easy. And once it's snapped into place, you put it back on the ground, and it's charging, just like that. Now, the problem with this option is it takes a long time. Even on the best days, you're looking probably multiple days to get that battery pack charged, and that's assuming sunlight, perfect conditions, all the rest of it. So with time, I decided to upgrade from that. Now this is a 26,500 milliamp battery pack, and so is this one. This is an Anchor battery pack. The main difference is this one's got IQ, type of charging protocol that should charge your stuff faster than anything that hooks up to the battery pack. But you can see I've got another solar panel here, and this one just folds up. So the battery pack and this piece is separate. So I do have a cable, USB-C cable, a high powered one, running over to the battery pack. And if you look at the front of the battery pack, I can charge 2 different ports on it at the same time. And actually, one advantage, sorry to skip back and forth, but one other advantage this one has is you can do wireless charging, which is a very big advantage. But keep in mind, there's nothing stopping me from taking this battery pack and using it with this solar panel. Now, this solar panel is a 28 watt solar panel, so it does 4 times the power capability from a charging perspective of the one that I just showed you before. So for me, that's actually a pretty big advantage, and it starts to play more and more of a role when you get into the seasons where it's getting colder. Maybe you're not getting as much powerful sunlight. It also plays a role when you start dealing with weather that's variable. So if you're dealing with cloudy days and then you've got better days, I like to think this one will help charge my bank a little bit faster than the other one that I could use. So I typically will take this middle one. Initially, this was always the one I would take with me when I thought it was going to be a cloudy trip, or I'm going to be doing a lot of portaging, and maybe I don't want this stuff hanging out in the boat when I'm actually paddling. Instead, I'd be using it other times, like maybe when I stop for lunch, or I would use it quickly at camp. So I want a very fast charge. Now with time, what I've realized is as I've gained more and more units, more and more cameras, more and more things of that nature, that my electronics are getting bigger and bigger. And I thought, well, you know what else can we do? So this is my latest option, and it'll go on my next trip with me, I think. This is a 70 watt solar panel, so it's just almost 3 times as powerful as the second one I showed you, and it's 10 times as powerful as the first one I showed you from a charging capability. You'll also notice, while I can charge right from the solar panel using USB ports, and that's true for this other one over here as well, this one has a DC output. And I'm using the DC output straight into this power bank, because this power bank is one of the few that actually has a DC in. Now, why that's an advantage for me is I believe I'm going to get more amps from the solar panel put into this thing, which should translate into, from what I've read, this can charge in about 3 to 3.5 hours. This is a 25,000 milliamp battery pack, so slightly smaller than the other two. Not a lot, nothing appreciative. However, what is interesting about it is it also has the fast charging capabilities. It has 2 USB output ports. It has an output for DC out, and it has a Type C or a USB-C port. These things are all useful. The biggest thing, though, being is that you also have to deal with the weight differences for these units. So when you look at this one, this 70 watt solar panel is almost 3 pounds, or just about 3 pounds of weight. For me, it's a choice of, do I take that or do I take my camping chair? My camp chair is around the 3 to 4 pound mark as well, so it's usually a trade-off. This one here, I need to weigh it, but I think it's in the 1.5 to 2 pound range. And then this one over here, if you separate out the actual solar panel extra pieces versus the battery pack, it's a lot less weight. And I will weigh these out and at some point actually publish what the difference is for all of these different things. Now, all of this stuff from a battery pack viewpoint, actually look, I have a little audience here. Hi Zoe, and there's Stella over there. That's little Zoe enjoying the sunlight of a winter's day. Once you get these things, you still have the problem of what do you do with them? So I've got a couple different things I want to show you today. So the first one is, what I do with any of these is I have, in this particular case, I have this battery charger. It's for the Hero 9 batteries, so I've got a Hero 9 battery here. You just plop it in, close the lid, you don't have to. And if I turn on this unit, so it's actually putting out power, which I just did, you'll see a green light possibly, depending on the sun right there. And that's where it's charging up to 3 of these at a time. Now, the biggest reason I'm using this and not the standard GoPro one, it's got a lid, which means I could charge this on the go from a battery pack if I needed to. And keep in mind that even though I have it all hooked together right now, part of this design for me is that I can disconnect the solar panel when it's put away and still charge from whatever battery power is in the battery pack. So that's an option for me. Now, this will work with any of the 3 options that I've picked. The other thing that's kind of interesting is there's this gadget here, and you can see it in my hand. All it really does is it allows you to charge or to use a Hero 8 battery in a Hero 9 camera. So when you're someone like me who's got 20 batteries already invested in the Hero 8, if you weren't using the Hero 8, then you might choose to use this instead. Now give me a second here while I set this up. So in this case, what I would do is you feed this in like so, you put it in the case, and just like that, it fits the form factor, which means I could put it in here and charge it. Now, I'm not sure if this is safe, so it's something I've got to question out to the company about, but I would actually put this in and it would light up and it would charge the batteries. Now, what I'm doing right now until I find out the answer is I'm actually taking a Hero 8 charger for the batteries, but I can use these batteries safely in the camera, and it's kind of a nice feature. Now, there's also nothing, provided I have the cables, from stopping me from charging things like my remote. I use that for my front cameras so I can turn them off without using voice controls. And that's basically what I use for solar. Now, there's still a few other things that often come up when people ask me, well, how do you take so many pictures with your cameras out on your trips? So, this is my other part of it. These here are waterproof. They're waterproof. I got them off of Amazon, nothing special. But they are waterproof. They have a gasket all the way around. And they fit 16 cards. Now, what I'm doing is I'm capitalizing on the fact that you can put a micro SD here, and then you can, if you have the SD adapter, and most of your cards will probably come with that automatically, you can actually put one in here as well. Okay, so you can see me sliding it in, and then once you have that, you just put it into the case. Now you may notice that I've got a black case that's full. Well, not quite. I'm using some of the memory cards right now, but usually it's full. So I would have 16 cards with me on a trip, up to 16. And then I have a red one that's empty. What I do as part of my workflow when I'm on a trip is I take the cards always out of the black. I put them in the red until I either copy them or after the trip is over, at which point I copy all the stuff off of them and I put them back in the black. Now that does mean I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight because I'm carrying this second one, but it gives me the security of making sure I don't record over footage that I already have. Now for a longer trip, or maybe one where I want to be extra cautious or something, this is yet another bunch of weight. And all of this stuff's added up in terms of weight, so it's something you have to watch. But you can see here, this is an actual My Passport's what it's called, a WD My Passport Wireless Pro. I use it basically just because it's got an SD card reader. You may notice that in my battery pack, in my memory card pack here, I've got one with a little bit of red tape on it. I did that because I find that with that red tape it fits in the slot better, so I've modified one of the cards to actually make it easy to put it in and out of this thing and have it actually capture the first time. Now, how you use it is you put the card in it, push the button and it goes. It has a power bank. I'm trying to remember what the number is on it. It's either 7,000 or 10,000, maybe 14,000, but there's some power that's stored in this just like a normal battery pack. So it's yet another battery pack that I could use if I needed to, and I can charge this with any of these other units that I have. Now, that's a 4 terabyte unit. So with that, I can actually fill all my cards numerous times before I would ever fill that drive up. And it does give me another thing to bring with me. Now, most of my trips, I leave that behind now. I brought it with me on one trip. It's an extra bunch of pounds. Typically, I don't need it. But I do bring these with me. And I actually have a third one of these that's purple. And what it was intended to be, I haven't used it yet, I haven't needed to, is if I was going to go on a trip where I had more cards than the original 16, maybe I had 24 cards, or even 32 cards, I would fill the purple one first, and then use the overflow from that into the red. And then after I've used all the purple cards up and they filled the red, then I would go from the black into the purple card. So either way, what I'd be doing is making sure I don't overwrite any of the footage that I already saved. That's kind of an overview. Hopefully that helps. Got other gadgets and stuff out here, but I'll talk about them in future videos, including one where I show how I mount it on the board on the boat. This particular unit I don't use as much anymore because it takes so long to charge, and I want the extra security of a little bit better charging unit. I have taken this one, the middle one, on a trip with me, and it worked really well. And like I said, I'm going to try this one out and see if the trade-off of the extra weight versus the faster charging time is worth it to me. And we'll see. I have a feeling it's probably going to be some trips I'll take this one, the what's it called, the blue something, Big Blue, and other times I'll take the X-Dragon 70, which is what this one is here. Anyway, hopefully that was useful to you. You found it interesting, and as you can see, it's winter. So I'm really looking forward to summer getting here and having a good time. See you next time.